The One Piece manga, it is on break this week. The last chapter that we read was 1106, and a lot of the community, they consider this to be peak One Piece, one of the best chapters that One Piece has produced, and I thought it was good, but peak? I'm not really sure about that one. I thought it was just an alright chapter. I wanted to talk about this chapter specifically because I saw some discourse within the community talking about how much help or how much of the tide has shifted in Egghead from the Marine side over to the Straw Hats. A lot of people would say that the tension, it somewhat disappeared in this arc, so I wanted to talk about that today. But if you guys enjoy regular anime content, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. That way, my name is Potential Unleashed, and let's talk about the lack of tension in the Egghead arc. So what exactly happened in chapter 1106? Luffy, he has eaten meat and he is now back at 100%. He is raring to go. He's in gear 5th and we see him punch Kizaru, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be his matchup. We'll just have to wait and see. Dory and Brogy, the giants from Little Garden that we saw so long ago, they have arrived at Egghead and it's their goal to save and pick up Luffy. We also have to mention Bonney and the Pacifista. Vegapunk, he set it up to where every Pacifista that looks like Kuma, Bonney has control over. Now whether this includes the Seraphim S-Bear or not, we aren't sure just yet. This is really important because that means that the Pacifista, they are no longer on the world government side. So this is a huge shift in momentum, which was originally on the side of the world government and now it's on the side of the Straw Hats, Bonney and Vegapunk. I need people to understand that there's no true tension in this story, I guess technically, and I'll explain. This isn't exclusive to One Piece, this is just a writing thing in general. Because whenever there's a goal that has to be achieved, you can almost guarantee that the main character, they will be alright in any situation. It's typically like this, or we have the feeling until the final arc, and that's when all hell breaks loose. An anime example that's not One Piece is Attack on Titan. Looking at Eren, even when he technically died in like episode 5, we didn't really think that he was dead. He still had a goal to achieve and his story was not over just yet. Compared to season 4 after the rumble, and we had no clue how Eren's story was going to end because it's the final arc, and well, we know what happened to him in the end. So yeah, it's technically plot armor because without it, the story wouldn't advance. But at the same time, that's kind of how you have to write a story. Going back to One Piece, there were different examples or different events that happened in the story in almost every arc that's supposed to bring some form of tension to the story. To name a few, the bomb in Alabasta, Enel destroying the Sky Island, the sun coming up at Thriller Bark, the birdcage in Dressrosa. Y'all get my point. Was there ever a point in the series where we didn't expect these Straw Hats to make it out alive, that everything was going to be okay? The answer is no. People argue Ace's death brought tension to the story because we were under the assumption that Luffy was going to save him, which is true, but we weren't ever scared that Luffy wasn't going to make it out of Marineford alive. So that's why I like to tell people that tension, although it exists, it technically doesn't, because we know nothing's going to happen to Luffy and his crew until they achieve their goals, becoming the Pirate King, the world's strongest swordsman, finding the All Blue, etc. It's not bad writing or anything, that's just how it is. If y'all have seen some of my recent videos, y'all would know how I feel about Luffy being an emperor and the Straw Hats being a Yonko crew. I don't remember the exact chapter number, but whenever Luffy went and clashed against Kizaru, I stated that I wanted these Straw Hats to prove to me why they deserve to be a Yonko crew. I'm not a fan whenever characters necessarily get help, and I'd argue that's kind of what Wano was. To be fair, I can kind of understand why that help was needed, because this was the arc where Luffy, he stepped into the upper echelon of strength of him being a top tier character, and he needed some help to do that, so I'm not necessarily mad at that. And I get it, Luffy, he's the type of person that has the powers to influence other people. When it was earlier on in the series, when the Straw Hats, when they first started to become pirates and they were naive around the world, not knowing what was going on, I thought getting help was fine. There was Rayleigh, Kuma, everyone that they had a system. I get that. But he's now a Yonko, and yes, I understand that Yonko, they are strong, they have allies, which makes them have that title. But I feel like Egghead, this is an arc where they've gotten more help than was actually needed. The way Egghead was set up, it was a situation that the Straw Hats, they didn't have a high probability to escape. The Marines, they surrounded the island. They had an admiral in Kizaru, one of the 5 elders in Saturn. The Pacifista, vice admirals, a buster called the Seraphim, CP0, you name it. Honestly, everybody was here and trying to defeat Vegapunk and the Straw Hats. Versus when you look at it, there was only the Straw Hats, Bonney, Vegapunk, and Sentomaru. Seeing the situation, I think anybody could say that the odds of escape was not very high, so we were wondering how they were going to do it, what they were going to do to escape this island. Now the tides, they shifted to the Straw Hats' favor. You look at it, the only real threats on the world government side now is just Kizaru, Saturn, and Lucci. The Straw Hats, they have the Pacifista, they have Dory and Brogy and Kuma who arrived, and I think we all underestimated his strength. The ancient robot, it appears to be waking up to the tune of the Drums of Liberation, and we know that it's not on the world government side. Still, she was originally working for Vegapunk, so she turned on CP0, and I get that they're outnumbered, but man, did we really need this much of a shift to be in the Straw Hats' favor? Looking back at Wano, I understand why Shanks showed up there. After fighting 2 Yonko, the Straw Hats and their allies, they definitely would be weakened, so if someone shows up and Shanks, he thought it was Black Bull, but it was actually Green Bull, it wouldn't be the most fair situation. So Shanks pulling up to Wano to make sure nothing would happen, I think that's fine. Personally, I think that Dory and Brogy showing up at Egghead, that's a little bit of an overkill. I think Oda, he should have either have it Bonney become the commander or the leader of the Pacifista, or the Giants showing up. I don't think it should have been both. I think it should have been one or the other. I'm not really that concerned because of 2 reasons. Number 1, the arc isn't over just yet, and 2, well, that's just what One Piece is. But I personally would have rather the Straw Hats showcase what they can do, because I don't think anyone has been that impressive, and I'm including Luffy here as well because he definitely was the favorite within the community to defeat Kizaru, and well, I ain't saying he lost, but he definitely wasn't the first one to get up. If other Yonkos were here with their crew, for example, the Red Hair Pirates, the Beast Pirates with the All-Star and the Toby Roba, the Big Mom Pirates, would we be saying the same thing if they were in the Straw Hats position, praising them without even highlighting the extra help that they received? The answer is probably not. Like I mentioned, it's not really that big of a deal because this is kind of what One Piece is, but I will say with how Saturn was built up and, you know, Kizaru being here and the Straw Hats fun being an Emperor crew, I kind of didn't want to see all this up. Well, somebody ended up saving them again. I kind of wanted them to save themselves. It is what it is. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I will say I kind of don't necessarily like the fact that all this added help was sent to the Straw Hats because they're a Yonko crew and they're strong in their own right. Let me know how you guys feel about this in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is on the screen and the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.